Conor Farrell, captain of Carrick, St Mary's. It's been an interesting year for you, but you're in the semi-final spot and all to play for in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, delighted with today. I think our game plan worked out well for us. We're probably in a bit of bother. Maybe 4 or 5 weeks ago, people were talking around the county that could be us into a relegation final, but a lot of us stood up, especially the young boys as well, and we've kicked on from the Aughwillan game, the Ballamore game, and today things went well for us. So yeah, delighted to be in the last four, but that's all we've done.
What is the changing point in the season? Because it's been an interesting couple of weeks. As you said, there was rumours about departures in the camp, there was rumours about discontent in the camp, but you really seem to put that to bed in the last few weeks.
Yeah, I think a lot of that was really blown out of proportion to start with. I think we generally, this year there's been no league. Like, we generally start slow in the league, and that we didn't have those kind of to get into our rhythm. I suppose the first two games we kind of slept walk through them, I suppose, and Mo gave us an absolute hide, and we sort of dropped tools, which was a learning period for us. And yeah, I think we've grown from that defeat, and boys have really stepped up. And once we got the win down on Aughwillan, we just that was the changing point. We've just kicked on from there.
I think more so nearly than the actual win against Aughwillan and Ballinamore was the nature of it. You conceded really late in both games, injury time, and to come down the other end and stick the ball in the back of the net and pop over those 2 points that you needed in those two games. What's been the difference? What's been compared to the first two games that you played?
Well, I suppose the only thing is that if we lost in Aughwillan or Ballinamore, we were gone. That wasn't the case in Sheain or Mohill, so our backs were really against the wall against both Aughwillan and Ballinamore. So I mean, it was do or die. So, and we grew from that massively. There's a lot of young boys in that team at the moment that are coming through, and they really stood up, and they've grown massively since that. So yeah, it's been all positive since then. So yeah, thank God we're to the last four.
In terms of being a competitive team, and over the last 3 games now after today, you can kind of say you're one of the teams that people are talking about as realistic contenders for this title. You're in a semi-final. There's any amount of teams waiting for you. Mohill are in there, Ballinamore and Manorhamilton would be in there as well, and of course Fianna last night. You've played nearly all of those teams already this season.
Yeah.
Most of the teams coming from your side of the draw have actually progressed to the semi-finals. Does that tell its own tale about how competitive that side of the draw was?
Yeah, maybe so. I mean, yeah, and the 2 games yesterday and the day before, I think there was a bit in them all right in the end. But I saw the Leitrim GAA Fianna game, and really, I think the scoreline flattered the game itself. It was tied up into the last 15 minutes. So I don't know how much of a difference there was. Maybe, yeah. I mean, if Ballinamore go through this evening, then yeah, it obviously does tell its own story. But from the offset, I suppose they said our group was the group of death, and I think, yeah, I mean, if Ballinamore go through, it kind of tells its own story, I suppose.
In terms of today's game, let's talk about that for a moment, because a pretty solid performance. Score a goal in the first minute of the game, it's always a nice start to get, but Melvin Gaels came back into it. A few discipline issues. How did you cope with having that extra player or two on the pitch at different stages?
Yeah, I think coming into it, we said from the offset just to keep it wide, keep the ball in hand, keep it moving. I mean, I don't think we really deviated from that for much of the game. It didn't matter how many on the field. Sometimes 14 men works in their advantage, but yeah, you could see it out there. There's a lot of indiscipline from Melvin Gaels, and I think we probably profited from it in the last quarter, in the second half as well, when Midloin went off, and then obviously Mulligan went as well. So, and I think that the third guy got a black card in the last 5 minutes. So yeah, I mean, it made our lives a bit easier, I suppose, and yeah, I mean, that's just the way it's gone.
In terms of you as a group of players, what do you work on for the next 2 weeks ahead of whoever you get to play in the semi-final?
I mean, yeah, it's just going to be the same thing again. We've got a serious management team in place this year. I mean, it's just a matter of us showing up, getting our heads right, and preparing for the next 2 weeks as best as we can. And then I don't think it really matters who we get in the semi-final. It's not going to change how we prepare. And yeah, we're just going to get ready for it and give it our all when it comes.
Well, listen, Conor, well done today.
Cheers, Pairc. Thanks.